Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Russ Clark. I'm the Business Development Manager here at BTRG. Before we get started with the presentation, just a few notes to go over. All attendees are in listen-only mode. We don't anticipate much time at the end for question and answers, but there is a text box on the right-hand side in your navigation panel. Please feel free to write questions in there, and we'll compile answers and send them out after the webinar. Today's session is being recorded. You should look for the recording available next week on our website and also through email. Today's webinar will be hosted by BTRG's founder and CEO, Jeff Goddard, Director of Cloud Technology, Mike Martin, and Director of Cloud Solutions, Mark Holbein. And without any further delay, I'll pass things off to Jeff to get started. Jeff, go ahead.
Thanks, Russ. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. This particular topic is very much a response to what's going on in the marketplace. We, as many of you know, have been in the PeopleSoft business for many years, and we have a lot of customers interested in moving to the Oracle Cloud products. And we felt that a timely presentation on exactly what the facts are and some information that might help you understand what moving from PeopleSoft to Oracle Cloud apps is all about is what we will present. So our agenda is pretty simple. I'm going to talk a little bit about Oracle and a cloud strategy for PeopleSoft customers. Mike Martin will address some common technical questions. Mark Holbein will talk about our particular implementation methods, and we'll summarize with some service offerings that might be of interest to you if you're considering a move to Oracle's cloud applications. So on the strategy front, I just want to start by reminding everybody the general rationale for moving to cloud technology. And this is pretty broad, encompassing. We're not just talking about cloud apps, but cloud technology in general. And I guess it's our view that this momentum is there for a reason. It makes a lot of business sense. And we're moving from a scenario where our legacy systems are run in our own data centers, much the way some companies at the turn of the century used to generate their own electricity until power utilities consolidated power generation throughout the country. And every business is, to some extent, at some view, running the same application. Customized, perhaps, tweaked for their business needs, but each company invests in their own infrastructure, and they take various measures to secure their data. So it's a big duplication of effort. The fundamental rationale for cloud is that there are economies of scale. That you, as a customer, you should really only have to pay for what you need and when you need it. And there's advantages in leveraging the same application software across various businesses, using best-in-class security rather than everybody having to manage their own data security, and just consolidating expertise around whether it's finance, HR, or performance management solutions. Having a consolidated source for database management and system administration is lower cost and more efficient. So cost is something that we're going to talk about quite a bit today. So if you're a PeopleSoft customer, we hear some of our customers talking about this cloud-first strategy, and usually this takes different forms, but a lot of our PeopleSoft install base run HR, financial, supply chain, and performance management on-premise. And for most of those customers, a lot of them are considering upgrading to 9.2 if they haven't done so already. I think more than half the install base has moved to 9.2. And many of them are continuing to run PeopleSoft on-premise. So if you were maintaining the status quo, you would upgrade to 9.2 and move to this model of selective adoption with PUM images that come out regularly and apply them to your on-premise environment. Well, one of the options that's become viable and popular with the latest version of PeopleTools is running PeopleSoft on the Oracle Cloud. And this is an option we've had a previous webinar on, basically taking advantage of cloud infrastructure and services from Oracle, but continuing to run your own version of PeopleSoft 9.2. The scenario we're talking about today let me make sure my screen is refreshing here, is a switch from PeopleSoft to the Oracle Cloud applications. And they were formerly branded as Fusion, but they're no longer referred to as Fusion. It's really multiple applications that make up the Oracle HCM Cloud and Finance Cloud apps. So I want to make sure everyone's clear that the change that we're talking about today is option 3, moving away from your on-premise investment, not moving PeopleSoft onto the cloud, but making a switch to the cloud applications. And we think that there are strong reasons why this switch makes sense. So one of the changes that has been going on for PeopleSoft customers is adapting to this multiple release strategy. If you're unaware, PeopleSoft came out with 9.2 in March of 2013, and there have been POM image releases consistently each year up until today, where we're looking at, I think, POM image 21 for financials, I think 20 for HCM. And here's just a little chart showing that there is releases planned throughout 2017. So this concept of continuous improvement, new feature releases, without changing the number from 9.2 to 9.3 or 9.4, it's pretty much entrenched in the PeopleSoft install base. So here are some facts that are important to your decision making if you're thinking about moving to the cloud. Support for PeopleSoft ends in 2027, and that's extended support. It might be extended beyond 2027, and I think Oracle reserves the right to adapt to the market conditions and the demand from the install base. But at the moment, the 2027 deadline looms out there. If you're on PeopleSoft 9.1, the extended support ends now, although in some cases Oracle's made some special arrangements to extend support for 9.1. And if you're on an earlier version, I think you're officially not supported. The licensing and maintenance model, how you bought your software, that has stayed the same. It's never changed. You own the software and you pay maintenance every year. There is a continuous delivery model through POM and selective adoption that gives you access to new features. And Oracle continues to invest in new capabilities around mobile with Fluid, Cloud Manager, Analytics, Dashboards, and Pivot Grids. We give other presentations on that. There's test automation tools and other lifecycle management tools that have been added into the mix. When you think about cloud and its impact on a PeopleSoft customer, it's one of the plays there is around infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. And this is a model where PeopleSoft customer wants to stick with their license and their software with their customizations, but perhaps they don't want to run PeopleSoft on their infrastructure anymore in-house and are looking to move that to the cloud. Usually accompanied with that move is a desire for managed services so that somebody else is doing security, workflow maintenance, managing your interfaces. Those capabilities are sold by partners like BTRG and others, and they're also sold by Oracle Consulting, which has rebranded its capabilities for managed services under the banner Oracle Cloud Services. So if you're confused about Oracle's support around managed services, don't be. It is part of Oracle Consulting, and it's called Cloud Services. All right, just like POM releases for PeopleSoft, the Oracle Cloud applications themselves are constantly being improved. And you know, in the early days, for those of you that have been around pre-2005, you might recall Oracle acquired PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, and other PeopleSoft-related assets in 2005, and promised to merge together the best of Oracle e-Business Suite and Siebel and PeopleSoft and JD Edwards into this product called Fusion. That was the old branding. The new branding is Oracle Cloud. So what Fusion was has been rebranded. Release 8 came out in 2014, which was really the start of this whole move with cloud. You can see release 9, 10, 11. We're currently on release 12, and you know, greatly enhanced capabilities with each release. In between those major releases are updates to fixes and bundles and features that get sorted out in the evolution of the product, but we're at a stage now, as we move into 2017, that the product is very mature. And for most of our customers, moving to the Oracle Cloud apps instead of PeopleSoft is quite a viable option. So one of the challenges customers face is understanding what's in these cloud apps. So I have just 3 slides I'm going to go through. This is just kind of a simplified view of all of the cloud applications and how they're organized. There's a group organized for customer experience. They're mainly the CRM products. There's enterprise performance management, which is primarily Hyperion, human capital management, and ERP, where the financials reside, supply chain, and then there's data-related services that are sold as SaaS applications. If you dive a little deeper, most of our customers are finance customers, HCM customers, or EPM customers using PeopleSoft. And the ERP cloud solution is broken down into these modules: financials, project portfolio management, revenue, risk, procurement, and the accounting hub, which has been around for a while. HCM, there's new terminology to get used to. Things like workforce optimization, workforce rewards. Some of these terms, if you came from legacy PeopleSoft, might be a little confusing, but things like workforce rewards are really about benefits and compensation. And talent management, most of us are pretty familiar with recruiting and onboarding by now. The reason I show this slide is to help people understand that there is a mapping between your PeopleSoft modules and the Oracle Cloud apps. And it goes one level deeper. I'm just using one example here for human capital management, that beyond that high-level pillar, there are functions and capabilities that are organized this way. So if you look at this chart, you can see, and this is one of Oracle's slides, where you can see core HR, payroll, time and labor, and then you've got the end user perspective around functionality like my wellness, my reputation, my volunteering. These are all the things that employees would use to interact with the system. So that's just a very high-level snapshot of mapping what you might be familiar with in the PeopleSoft world and how it relates to Oracle Cloud. So here's just some quick facts around the Oracle Cloud applications. Unlike PeopleSoft, where you have to upgrade, these apps are always current. There's no end date to previous level support, although they do encourage customers to move from release to release within a certain amount of time. And you get to determine, actually, the rate at which you take up those new capabilities. Perhaps the most interesting thing about the cloud apps is the fact that they are SaaS, software as a service, sold as a subscription. The subscription is usually based on a number of users per month calculated over a year. And this concept of users per month, in most cases, captures the idea that you pay for only what you need. Of course, with cloud, no infrastructure, no databases to set up, no servers to configure, very little involvement from your IT organization. There is a continuous delivery model. Oracle's goal is to deliver releases 2 times a year. There's not really an upgrade effort. There's really an update effort that comes in between. And this next point about integrations is particularly interesting. When we talk to PeopleSoft customers, we find that their cost of ownership is driven by things like people moving files from one system to another, running an SQR, checking an interface, and making sure that data was loaded correctly. It's usually a manual-based effort that involves people. In moving to the cloud, what you're buying into is Oracle's model of integration between different modules. All in one database, all managed by Oracle in the cloud. Often this is viewed as a solution to the integration dilemmas and problems that customers have. Of course, you can integrate Oracle Cloud with your on-premise apps, and Mike is going to talk about that. Inherently, the same user interface is available for mobile and browser. Typically, cloud implementations offer a faster time to value, and as you've heard, there are configuration options that are far more extensive than what you're used to in PeopleSoft. And that in response, the reason those configuration options are there is to minimize the need for customizing. And this is really a change in mindset as much as a change in technology. If you can configure the software to meet your requirements rather than adding a bolt-on or customizing a page, it's lower cost to maintain over time. And those costs are a primary driver. So we see customers realizing anywhere from a 20 to 30% lower cost of ownership with cloud apps and a return on investment in as short as 18 or 24 months. And I can tell you that when these cloud applications first came out, that ROI number was longer. It was 3 years, 5 years for some ROI calculations. And today it seems to be getting shorter with greater experience and greater user adoption. Okay, so let me move ahead here. So we're listening to customers, and that's why we're putting on these webinars. You can expect more in this series, but some of the questions we hear from customers are that they're having trouble understanding the cloud model. I've got PeopleSoft, HR, payroll, and benefits. How does that fit into the cloud model? Where do I fit that in? If I want to compare the functionality of Oracle Cloud Apps to PeopleSoft, how do I do that? Is there a model for that? And the answer is yes, we have a model that we deliver for helping customers do that. And these are some of the primary questions that we deal with. How to convert data? Is there a structured approach to evaluating and arranging a demo? And the answer is yes. At BTRG, we use this, and this is just a piece of an overall evaluation or decision tree that has questions, and we seek to answer those questions specifically for each customer. So one of the starting points, of course, is price. Is it cheaper to run cloud than PeopleSoft? Generally, the answer is yes, but it is made up of two components, both the software license and the implementation costs. And we're helping customers with both of those calculations and numbers. Another factor in that decision tree is IT factors, I call them generally. Could be a compelling event on the infrastructure side, like I have hardware that's obsolete and out of date and I have to refresh my hardware investment. Or it could be an integration issue where moving to the cloud solves some complex integration that's currently being handled in a manual way. And then the last is really application functionality, and this is becoming less and less of an issue with each release of the cloud apps. A functional comparison of, does the cloud do everything that I could do on PeopleSoft? And generally the answer is becoming yes. Okay, so with that high-level strategy overview, I'd like to hand it over to Mike Martin that's going to talk about these three common questions. Mike?
Thanks very much, Jeff. Appreciate it. So some of what we're hearing from our clients of a more technical type of question is, how do we convert our data from our on-premise to the cloud? Or how do we integrate between on-premise and cloud, or even between clouds? And sometimes there's a concern about security. So I'm going to address these three questions. So when we're talking about migrating or converting data from your on-premise PeopleSoft system or others to the cloud applications, you have some options. You have some native capabilities built within the cloud applications. You have rapid implementation spreadsheets, which are built into the product. You also have something called FBDLs, or file-based data loader spreadsheets, or there's APIs available. And I'll dive into these more on the next slide. You could also look at, and the thing with those spreadsheets and the APIs are they are all about getting data into the cloud, but they don't necessarily help you get it out of your source system. Then you can go further and look at some tools, and some of the ones that come up to the surface here that are the most common reviewed are the Integration Cloud Service, Oracle Data Integrator, or the Oracle SOA Suite, Service-Oriented Architecture Suite. And then at BTRG, we've developed a tool we call Cloud Data Bridge, which is designed to help you move. So just looking deeper at these. So if we dive into the Fusion application's native features, you have rapid spreadsheets. These are designed for a quick implementation, for setting up your basic functionality, and then you accept many defaults through the system. If you're using these, though, they require a manual entry of keying this data into the spreadsheets, and they're in the format that would be expected. So you would have to do things like take your current chart of accounts and financials, for example, and type the values that you wanted it to become into the spreadsheet. So they're really more for rapid configuration, maybe a smaller implementation, or for your initial setup. And we do use these spreadsheets in our methodology, which we'll talk about later. Your other option for more standard, more granular conversion of data is these file-based data loaders. And they're spreadsheets that are in comma-separated values for the financials side of things in EPM. And then there's a HR data loader format, which is pipe delimited, and there's other formats that are available. So you can get a more granular conversion here where you can convert specific modules. Again, though, it's about getting data into. It doesn't help you get the data out of the system. So you would have to do manual entry here. And it may not be clear which one you would want to use there because they are overlapping. So you really have to be careful about which one you use. And then you have APIs, which are, again, at a granular level of data conversion. There's good availability, and there's actually some overlap between the APIs and the file-based data loaders. And APIs are a little bit more about integration and messaging than it is wholesale data conversion. Now, if you look at tools, the tools here are really from more of a design from integration than it is a wholesale conversion, right? So Oracle Integration Cloud Service is a cloud-based SaaS offering that allows powerful integration with very little setup, and it's really designed for what sometimes you hear a citizen developer, more of a power user, more click and drag kind of development than coding, right? Now, where this may fall a little short is if you have heavy on-premise connections that you have to do, where you have custom connections, and where the integration is very complex. It may not be the right fit for those. Then you can go to something called Oracle Data Integrator, which is another tool, and it's really from an ETL design paradigm, or ELT sometimes, extract, load, transform, or transform and load. There are pre-built connectors here. It is a more robust, so it can handle more complex conversions, but along with that comes a more learning curve. And again, it's designed a little bit more for ETL and data warehousing than it is moving between on-premise and cloud. And then if you need more features, you can go to the Oracle Service-Oriented Architecture Suite, which comes from the Fusion middleware family of products. It is a full-featured middleware tool that is available both in the cloud and on-premise, and it has pre-built connectors, and you can really deal with very complex data transformations and complex integration here. Again, along with that comes a learning curve and features that are more designed. But all of these things that I've talked about in this slide are really from an integration design paradigm, not so much completely designed for converting data. So then we go to BTRG's tool that we've built, which is designed very specifically to migrate your data from your on-premise to the cloud. And it will, in fact, help address the extraction of that data from your source system, where the tools that come natively do not do that, right? So this will be end-to-end migration, moving you from on-premise to cloud. No manual entry is required. It's got pre-built templates for PeopleSoft, and more ERPs will be coming in the future. And we actually leverage the file-based data loaders as the integration. So we've kind of built this front end to the file-based data loaders, which allow you to manage the process and extract from your source system. And where you might see a bit of a challenge is in very complex ETL type requirements. You may have to do some additional configuration where it wouldn't necessarily be out of the box. But with this tool, out of the box, you can convert PeopleSoft, right? So kind of to summarize what I've just covered there, bit of a sales pitch for our cloud solution here, the Data Bridge. but it has been designed exclusively for data migration where not all the other options are that. And we can automatically extract the data from your source system with pre-built templates for PeopleSoft. We're leveraging all the pre-built templates from the Oracle Cloud applications, and we bring those two together so they have 0 to very little development time with no manual entry. So we think we've solved all of the challenges that you might find in searching through the other solutions.
One thing to add there, Mike, that we see in the marketplace is some of our competitors are using offshoring to complete this process, and we think that delivering a solution is a repeatable and more long-term solution and keeps your data in a safer spot.
Yeah, right. Keeping the data within your environment rather than shipping it, overseas for development to do it. So just to show this solution, this is a screenshot of it right there. Again, we think that we've kind of solved a lot of the challenges of moving the data with this solution. And because of that, and because of the pre-built templates and the automation that's in there, we can reduce your migration effort by 50%. It's been designed exclusively to move data from on-premise to the Oracle Cloud applications, and we leverage all of the available templates that come from Oracle. But again, we give you a front end for them, and it includes templates to extract your data from PeopleSoft. And again, no development. So it's a graphical interface. You can see in this screenshot that all the templates that are available there from Oracle in terms of what you can bring in projects, journals, labor, all of those are built into the tool, all of the entry points of data into the cloud. So that kind of closes out the migration question. Now moving on to how do we integrate. So again, it's the same tools that we looked at which have been designed for integration that we focus on. So Oracle Integration Cloud Service. It has pre-built connectors and integrations for a lot of SaaS and on-premise applications, and you can see in the screenshot there some of the examples. It also is a graphical environment for development and design of your integrations so that you can click and drag, and you have tools, again, within the cloud, the SaaS offering here from Oracle that help you monitor those integrations as well. So the best fit of this solution would be for very cloud-based integrations, perhaps even a little bit lighter requirements on an on-premise integration. If you have legacy applications that aren't necessarily reachable from the cloud, then it may not be a good fit for that. And this is a subscription model because it's a SaaS offering. It's not included with the product, but it would be an additional fee on top of your application fee. But again, gives you a robust environment where you have one standardized integration method rather than point-to-point integrations. So another solution that we see clients looking at is the Oracle Data Integrator. This is, again, designed for a bulk load and ETL and comes from a data warehousing standpoint, but it can deal with much more complex interfaces or more heavy lifting than you would see with the cloud offering I just talked about, and where you have heavy and extract, transform, and load type integrations. Now again, you would need, this is because it's a more feature-rich product, it would need developer level skills. This would be beyond your citizen type developer. And again, this would either be a license for the Fusion middleware version or the subscription if you chose to do this in the cloud. And there are two offerings with this, one on-premise and one cloud-based that you could choose. And then you have the Oracle SOA suite, which is probably the most robust of the three in terms of functionality and what kind of heavy lifting it can do. You can see it's comprised of these various components: analytics, orchestration, service virtualization, and connectivity. So you have a full suite of developer tools that are APIs, enterprise service bus, etc., that can do complex interfaces. So if you have a very complexity and a challenging interface, you may want to go to this. Again, you would need developer skills to use this, and it would be a license or subscription depending on if you went with the cloud or the on-premise version. So that's where we really see integrations moving. And then in terms of security, I'm going to really talk about two aspects. One is to some of our clients express concern over having their data in the cloud and this idea of moving data from their own environment to a cloud provider. There's a couple things to think about. Number one, most clients probably already have data in the cloud if they ever log into a cloud application, or if you are using SharePoint, or you're using Evernote, or any Dropbox, or any of these things, you already have data in the cloud. And maybe you've already implemented something like Taleo along your on-premise systems. You already have data in the cloud. But the Oracle Public Cloud has layered security defense built in. So from the silicon all the way up to the applications, Oracle has built their world-class security in. And so if a client is concerned about this idea of moving, one question we'll often ask is, how would your current internal security controls stack up against what Oracle has implemented? So if you look at all of these things, these are examples of what Oracle has put into its public cloud. So on each one of these, have you as a client implemented all of these things? And are they world-class and continually being monitored? So, if you start to stack up your own internal security versus what Oracle has done, maybe Oracle's security is stronger than yours and might assuage your fears of moving to the cloud. And then when it comes to controlling the security within the applications, it's a policy-based engine that's there, that you have role-based security that you're probably already used to in the way the on-premise applications are configured. And Oracle Identity Management solution is embedded in these products so that you can manage your user identities and control them with that solution. And then when it comes to the application, there's both functional security, which allows you to get at different parts so you can control who can access what parts of the application. And you also have a data level security built into the applications. That means you can control what data people see as well. So what functionality and what data. So if you have one person that's in one business unit, you can control whether they can see other business units. So it's a very robust level of security. And so now I'll turn it over to Mark.
Hi there. So my part of this is going to be to tell you how to make that move to the cloud and how would we as BTRG do it, and did do it with our internal. So with that, next slide please. So we went out and we based our methodology off of Oracle's unified method, but we also put thought into, do you do it the same as you always have done everything before? And we came to the conclusion that we didn't think so. And what we mean by that is we look at it as creating a foundation. We go into our clients, we talk to, what are your current business processes? Go back one. What are your current business processes? What's your organizational structure from a chart of accounts, business units, departments? Give us a map of your integrations so that we know and can look at, see if we can move and how we move those integrations to the cloud. And then what are your future requirements? And keyword there is future, because with the change over to cloud, you're looking at configuration as your main option to get the system where you want it. And extensibility comes in only if you move into combining it with the platform as a service. So we look at it as a starting point to configure your future. Next slide. So what do we mean by that? So Mike touched base on these rapid implementations, and it is workbooks that when we gather that initial foundation information, we load it into these workbooks, we upload that into the system, and if you think back to your past ERP implementations, you went through a long process of either implementing or upgrading, and you really didn't get into the system and be able to really start testing it for maybe 6 to 8, 9 months to a year. And so this takes you and puts you in a place where you can get into your system and do it iteratively. And what I mean by iteratively is we take it and in a 5 to 6 week period of time, you get to be able to look at that system with your configuration, base configuration, and some of your data so that we work to eliminate your need for a demo database that you may be used to in the past. We're showing you your system with your baseline configuration right in the first iteration. So next slide, please. So each of those iterations, like I said, is 5 weeks. And in that, we look at it and take a definition of what requirements, what integration, what conversion are we going to include in this 5 to 6 weeks. We do a design for that of anything that needs to be configured. We go into configuration where we configure the solution, and then we integrate, which is really truly is the technical setup and the conversion setup that Mike was talking about. And then in that 6-week period, we do a validation of what we did. And then as an example, in an internal project, we did the first iteration. We could then create a journal. We could create an invoice. We could send an invoice. We could accept a payment. And granted, it had manual steps in it that you had to do the entry in the system itself. It didn't have all of the templates and the flow set up so that it would do it automatic for you. But you could see the functionality of the system, and you could look at it and say, okay, I understand and I can build on that. So our methodology was built this way to lower risk for the possibility that you ever got through your setup of an implementation, you say, ooh, that's not quite what I wanted. In the old days, that could have been 6-8 months of worth of work. This lets you look at it after 6 weeks, and so your risk and your potential cost, if you have to do some rework, should only be on that 5 to 6 weeks. It also enables you to say, I'm going to go live with my budgeting first, with the budgeting in GL, and then I'm going to take the next piece in the next iteration. It also moves into your future releases. We will use the same process to work through your future releases. Next slide. So let's look at then what's that equal up to as far as benefits. So really we use your system, not a demo system. Now we do have access to demo systems that we can walk through with other individual or other company type setup that Oracle makes available, but we really want to use it in your system. We do those 6-week sprints, and what we do is you baseline the functionality and then you continue to add functionality on top of it. And if we say we're going to do 4 iterations and we get to the end of the 4th iteration, and as we've gone through there and shown you other options, we can do additional releases or iterations and go live with what we have, or we can just add another iteration on the end, so it's very flexible. You get to interact with that system, like I said, early and often. So if you do 4 iterations, you're getting to interact with that system, and you're getting to validate every 6 weeks. It gives us less risk, higher quality, and we get our clients more familiar with the system long before you get to the final testing and the user testing. We also have created an innovative way for training, and what we do is as we're doing this testing, we have a tool that we record the screenshots and we put voice to it, and then we can take that recording and give it to an individual that may never have logged into the system, and they can actually create the test scripts that we need to go with it. It also is used as a tool for training new individuals that come into the company and get them up to speed quicker than if we have to have 2 individuals, one sitting training someone and one being trained. So we also use the Oracle Cloud social piece of the system, which is really, to me, is unique, where you go in, you can chat, you can share links, share your screen, you can Cisco WebEx, you can store documents up there. So the old thing of we store our documents on the network drive, and when we go to do an upgrade, we go to look for them, is really becoming a thing of the past because you can put it in the social network and it's right there in your system with your system. Next slide. So I believe I turn it over to Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so I think what we've tried to touch on a couple of things. Certainly, our message is quite clear that customers are moving to the cloud. It's gaining momentum. There are many, many reasons why folks are making this decision, but specifically for PeopleSoft customers, we've got some capabilities that we think can help you evaluate a move to the cloud. In particular, we do have 23 years of PeopleSoft experience, so we know the product you're coming from inherently well, and we've implemented the Oracle Cloud products for both customers and at BTRG. So we know the cloud products reasonably well, and the mapping between old and new is something that we can help. One of the big challenges we mentioned some of these questions that come up is going through an evaluation process in a structured way. And in that regard, we have a couple things that we think are unique that we bring to the table in evaluating your option. And should you make the decision, we have some tools that are going to make moving easier. In particular, Mike referenced this cloud data bridge that we've built with the templates for PeopleSoft. We think that's quite a bit of a game saver. And there are some strong benefits. In terms of methodology, Mark kind of highlighted that the way you implement cloud is different than the way you implement PeopleSoft. We use more of an agile approach with sprints that last anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 weeks. We use an iterative methodology so that you can make changes to the configuration as you go through each iteration. And inherently, that lowers the cost of implementing a cloud solution. So there are really 3 groups of offerings that we have to support clients that are looking at this move to the cloud. The first one is helping customers decide. We offer structured analysis and evaluation. We have considerable market intelligence. And we wrap that up in different packages to produce an assessment for a customer. And that assessment could include comparing the cost of upgrading PeopleSoft to moving to the cloud. It could include evaluating the data conversion. It could include looking at your customizations that you currently have to see whether you would need those customizations or how those requirements would be met in the Oracle Cloud solutions. The second group is if you are moving to the cloud, we can offer implementation project services, and those services range through rapid implementations that go live in 160 to 200 days, or more comprehensive business process transformation work to streamline your business processes and take advantage of new functionality, more modern interfaces, and eliminate costs in your current structure. And then the third category is something we've been doing for a little while. It is managed services, a model of continuous business improvement. We can actually help manage security, user setup, and optimization of your cloud environment for you on your behalf after you go live, and provide support for the duration of your subscription. So if you have a 3 to 4 year subscription that you've signed with Oracle and you're looking for ongoing support over that time frame, that's something we deliver as well. So the last piece of this I want to address. Make sure I can advance the slide here. Thank you. Is you might be sitting in this webinar going, Jeff, this is great information. Pretty clear you guys know what you're talking about moving from PeopleSoft to the cloud. Well, what's the first step I should take? And our view is there is a first step. It's a no-cost step, but it really starts with a 1 or 2 hour call with BTRG to understand your current status and future goals. And that current status might vary depending on who we're talking to. There could be a compelling event in your calendar, like I need to upgrade to 9.2 because I've lost support for my old PeopleSoft system, or I'm facing a major investment in infrastructure, and if I can avoid those costs, it would save my organization a lot of money. Or you may have an outsourcing contract where you've outsourced support of PeopleSoft to a third-party system integrator or service provider, and that contract is coming due. And you're thinking, your organization's thinking, should we renew or should we shift gears here and move to the cloud? So in a very short period of time, we have a template that we fill in with your specifics. We have a series of questions and a questionnaire we would work through with you, perhaps send to you and ask you to fill in. And out of that, we'll identify areas of opportunity for the largest improvements. We'll make some high-level recommendations for a roadmap, and we'll put an estimate together on the TCO based on a spreadsheet that we use to calculate ROI. And of course, in a few hours, it's not going to be as in-depth as a multi-week assessment, but it may give you the ammunition that you need to get funding to do a deeper dive into the cloud products, which might start as simple as having a demo, as simple as that sounds. Having a structured demo where you can compare the functionality in the Oracle Cloud product to what you have in your current on-premise. So if you want to take advantage of that first step, no-cost option, you should reach out to us. We're friendly, and we have a lot of information to share, as you could tell by this webinar. More than happy to go a bit deeper into topics like what do the competitors have and how does that compare with Oracle. We have tremendous insight into that as well. And you can reach us at sales@btrgroup.com, or you can go to our website to download some of our cloud-specific assets, or you can phone our toll-free number and ask to speak to anybody that was in this call. That's myself, Jeff Goddard, Mike Martin, Mark Holbein, Russ, and Troy, both in our sales organization. More than happy to make sure that you get connected with the right people in BTRG to answer questions. Russ, any housekeeping matters, or is that it?
No, that's it, Jeff. I think that was a great webinar today. It was very informative. So thank you, everyone, for your attendance. We appreciate it. We know it's tough to take some time out of your day, so it's certainly valuable, and we appreciate you joining us today. We will be sending out the recording, and it will be available on our website next week. If you have any questions, as Jeff said, please feel free to reach out, or if you'd like to engage us in our first step offering, we can certainly start with a quick conversation and talk about it in a little bit more detail. So thanks again, and have a great afternoon.